talk a little bit about set terminology, and in that handout, this is actually module 9 that I'm looking at. And these are just a few words or terminology, so when you're on the set, you can get a sense of understanding what it is. The first one here is Abby Singer. Now, Abby Singer was an executive for Mary Tyler Moore Productions and what have you. And everybody's always wondering, when's the last day? I mean, when's the last shot? How many more shots we're gonna do? The AD will then shot out, this is the Abby Singer. So then when you hear the Abby Singer, they're saying it for a couple reasons. One is we're getting close to the end of our day, and then if there's certain things around you that you can start wrapping up, let's start wrapping up. You know, so now you ain't got to stay there all day long after we're done. So it's an anticipation, say, hey, we're on the Abby Singer, you know, and then the Abby Singer is actually the second to the last shot of the day. So you can say, hey, well, we're done with this light. So send somebody, hey, go get that light, you know, let's take this down. Or let's, you know, start taking that stuff down on that other set, you know, and all those kind of things. Let's start all these scripts. Let's start cleaning up the set and all that. So you got a sense of what your day is, you know. Okay, the next thing is an apple box. The apple box is just basically a wooden box, but they're used on so many different things. I've seen a number of cameramen sitting on them, but they're actually used for elevation, you know, because they come in different sizes, quarter size, half size, flat sizes. They put the camera on them, rest on them. They may, you know, need to put a scrim, or somebody say, okay, we want this sign to go a little bit higher. Then you go ahead and put an apple box under it to lift it. So you use it for different elevations and things like that, because they come in all kind of different sizes. Like I said, pardon me?
Where would you get one?
The apple boxes is usually part of the grip package, and they're on the grip truck, you know, and you'll see them, they're small little wooden boxes, you know, like I said, in different sizes. Okay, the next one is the best boy. Even though we're trying to be real creative here, you know, it's still a business. So you got a camera department, an electric department, a grip department. There are best boys in there, and these are the people that actually order the equipment. You know, you may have a creative guy, oh, I'm gonna turn this whole room into heaven, you know, but the best boy is the person say that we're gonna need 6 lights, we're gonna need this. They're the ones who deal with the time cards of everybody. They're the business component of the operation that interacts with the line producer or the production manager. Okay? A boom. You know, a boom is like basically a long pole. You know, they, you know, refer to like, you know, it's a boom, or they say the fish pole and what have you, but, you know, with a mic on the other end of it. A brick, we talked about a brick, you know, being part of, you know, the walkie-talkies. And that's one thing, the set PA usually has a lot of bricks on them, so if they're moving around, you know, the walkie-talkie expires, then you can go ahead and give them another brick. A C-47 is a joke to this whole industry, but you're always gonna be tested, and that's the reason why I put that there. There are a lot of cruel people in this business, and they mess with PAs. Like, you don't know what you're doing or what's going on. The camera department one day sent a PA to me and say, hey, the camera department needs a bag full of f-stops. Then I looked at the person and I said, a bag full of f-stops. And, you know, and the f-stop is actually, you know, if you operate a camera, deals with the aperture of the camera, you know, open and close it, but it's part of the camera. There's not a certain thing where you can go ahead and get a bag of them and those kind of things. And then what a C-47 is a wooden clothespin. And they use them a lot for, like, you know, putting scrims on lights, you know, hanging a gel on it and what have you. And the running joke was that a unit manager really didn't know what a C-47 was. It's a busy day, he's doing like, you know, payroll. They trying to get out the call sheet for the next day. and then somebody ran into his office and say, hey, we need some C-47s. And then he says, well, you know, I can't do a check request. We need them right now. So he says, well, how much you need? He said, I don't know, give me like $50, you know, and I'll just go pick some up, you know. You know, clothespin, a wooden clothespin, you can go to Dollar Tree and get 10 of them for 99 cents, you know. And so that's there just to get a sense of the terminology and to be able to understand it. You know, cans are basically the headsets that, you know, a lot of you see the directors and all wears actually the earpieces while they're listening to the audio and shooting and things like that. You'll hear like, and this is a film terminology, like check the gate. You know, usually after there's a good shot, you know, then the director loves the shot and check it, then they'll say, okay, we'll check the gate. And then when you check the gate, you make sure that there's nothing in the gate, dirt, film, and what have you, that it was all clear and that actually film did pass through the actual gate and there's nothing logged, meaning that you then actually, you know, looking for any dust, air, all in the shot, you know, where it's a clean thing. Okay, C-stand. A C-stand is just the metal stands that the grip department use, and they use them for everything, hanging flags on them, you know, they may hang a tree branch on there to get an effect or something like that, but it's a stand used for multiple purposes that are actually part of the grip package. A cookie is like, it's usually like made of a Upson board or some type of foam, where in turn you can put on a light and there's a pattern on it. And then you'll put like a pattern, they want to show like some trees or something out there, you know, or effect. You see like, you know, someone sitting here and you may see behind them like some window blinds and all that kind of stuff, you know, but it's actually a design that was cut on a piece of foam core or something like that. And that's what a cookie is. Okay, continuity. Continuity is basically an area that the script supervisor kind of deals with, you know, and it's real important for any shot because you stop and go, you know, one take to another take and what have you, and you may do it over again. So like where the script supervisor is not only dealing with making sure we're on time, making sure that we're dealing with the script, but dealing with continuity. For instance, if someone came in that door and then took off their coat and sat on the couch and did that one take, they said, okay, well, let's do it again. So that actor got on up, went out and went to the door and said, okay, take two. Then he came in the door and they said, well, time out. He didn't take off his coat, he left his coat on the couch. So it's about continuity. It's about being able to maintain the shot from shot. You know, when I was doing Moesha, and you know, and Brandy had these like what they call like chops, sticks, you know, chopsticks like in her hair, you know. And then what happened was she took off the little bun or something that was on there, and then we went to continue, but there's no chopsticks. So how can you like, then it's like different, they're going to intercut the thing. So on one shot, she got a chopsticks, then you cut back to her, there's no chopsticks. You say, you know, something's wrong here, but that's the continuity. And you got to maintain that throughout, you know, the production. Okay, last looks. Last looks is usually what the AD would say to everybody, because what happens is when you're on a set, you rehearse the scene, and then all the departments is looking at it. And then the AD would say last looks. Then everybody runs on the set. The camera people say when they was rehearsing, that light wasn't right, you know, or you want to go in there and adjust somebody's makeup because they're sweating and things like that. But the last looks is usually the action taking place by each department to give them a chance to go in there and do it before we actually film it again. Because stuff changes during the rehearsal, and during the rehearsals, everybody's looking. You know, then they'll say, oh, that picture is crooked or something like that. And you gotta look at, that's why you have to look at the rehearsals and see what's going on. Then the AD will say last looks, and that means come in here and fix your area because we about to shoot this thing. Lavalier, You know, a lavalier mic, you know, we talked about what a boom mic is. On this mic that I have on now is like a lavalier, you know, as opposed to like a boom mic. Okay, lockup, we talked about the lockup. A lockup is the set PA, saying if we're getting ready to film in here, lock it up, and we make sure that somebody's at that door, so nobody will walk in and ruin our take. You know, the Martini. Okay, this is like when they say it's Miller time. It's about time to go. Well, we've already did the Abby Singer. The AD is going to yell out, all right, set up for the Martini, and everybody is happy because the Martini is the last shot of the day. And everybody knows it's time to go home once they yell Martini. Okay, rolling, it's a cadence that a lot of ADs will use, you know, and it's supposed to be echoed throughout so everybody can hear it. So an AD may say, okay, stand by, you know, settle, you know, quiet on the set, okay, and we're rolling. As soon as you say rolling, all the set PAs are saying, rolling, 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 so everybody knows, hey, that we're rolling. So, you know, even though the AD may have been over here and he said it on the set, rolling is usually communicated throughout the whole area. And even the lockup PA saying rolling, so the people outside that door is like, hey, you can't come in this area because we're rolling. All right. Scrim. A scrim, you know, you have a light, but a scrim is like help to use to diffuse. You know, the light may be too hot, or, you know, this person is shining over here. You know, so you say, hey, let's scrim it down, and it's actually like a diffusion, you know, to take some of the light and stuff off of them. Okay, a second unit. Second unit, say here's the main group of people shooting, you know, and we're shooting this one scene. Say we may have 3 cameras shooting this one scene, but for whatever reason, we're going to just devise it with 1 camera. So then what you do with a second unit, say, hey, we need a shot of an exterior of this building. So while we're in here shooting this one of those scenes, we'll break off a second unit, which is one of the camera people, you know, an AD, who will then be bumped up as a director. You know, may take a couple PAs, you know, just lock down the set and those kind of things. But it's actually a splinter group of the main production corps that will go out and be part of that second unit. Okay, the slate, you know, the slate is basically, you know, that clapboard, you know, and that's for like syncing up, you know, sound with the video, what have you. It gives you a reference, you know, what scene it is, what take it is, and it's a lot of that information that is actually on the production, you know, and it's not only used like really for syncing and those kind of things, but it's a real reference for when the editor gets to it. You know, they'll see what take it is, you know, what camera it is, you know, there's a lot of information. It could be scene 12, but only camera 3, you know, or camera C or what have you, those kind of things, you know. Okay, on the swing game, you hear a lot about, you know, who is this swing game? What the swing game is, they're a part of the grip crew that actually will go build like another set. So then say that tomorrow, today we're shooting in here, but tomorrow we're going to shoot in one of these offices. So a swing game is additional people who are part of the crew that will now break off and go and start setting up in there. Because they may have to start running cable, you know, clearing the room, hanging additional lights. So when we come in tomorrow, that room is already prepped and ready to shoot. And the swing game is the people that broke away and was able to swing in there and prep another area. You know, so we're not waiting for it when we come in tomorrow. Okay, video village. Video village is usually set up a small core group of people that no PA should never be in. That area is basically the executives, you know, sometimes the talent, but it's basically the producer, the director, the writer, a network executive and what have you. And they're sitting there in their own little comfort area. You know, the only time PAs and all usually go in there, they go in there and it's the set PA. they don't even talk to them, but they make sure that they got some little snacks there. They make sure that, you got a little thermos there for their waters and stuff like that. These are people you just don't even want to deal with, but you may have to support them for like refreshments and those kind of things, or, go get me a new set of cans because my battery died and all that. But it's not a lot of action with those people. You really don't want to interact with those people anyway. A lot of them ain't nice. Okay. Then a voucher. On smaller productions, a set PA usually works with a lot of the extras, and then say if this whole room is, the extras where we have like extras hanging or waiting area, you set up a little area and make sure that each person in this room signed their vouchers, their paperwork, so how they then get paid. Because these are like day players, so they're not part of the system that already filled out start work paperwork and all, So sometimes a set PA will be responsible for having everybody sign it and then turning those vouchers into the second AD. Then that second AD will turn them into the production coordinator and the accountant, A Wrangler. A Wrangler is basically a person that is hired. If you're working sometimes what they say with people, animals, and what have you, it's the person that's coordinating all these people, and they use a Wrangler a lot when you talk about, animals and those kind of things. It's someone who's handling this dog that they brought on the set. And instead of a PA go deal with that, they say, well, where's the, animal wrangler, And then the wrap, and it's a wrap. It's like, it's done, and we're done with it, and we move on. Okay, craft services. Craft services is basically an area separate from catering and what have you, where, you have snacks. It's nutrition, it's just to keep you going, those kind of things. It's not an area to sit down and have a full-blown, meal or anything like that. Fruit, chips, and what have you. And a lot of that craft services is based on, the crew, saying, what they need and it's accessible to them. So craft services may be like right on the set, but off. So like a camera person or a sound person don't actually have to leave the set to go to the catering truck or something like that that may be out in the parking lot. They can grab something and keep working and move on. Dailies. What the dailies are the actual unedited footage that we actually shot the day before. And the dailies is basically used for confirmation to say that we shot something yesterday, so then they usually look at the dailies the next day because it's a process of getting the tape or film process and what have you. And then it's a confirmation saying, hey, we got everything we needed on this set, so we can let the location go, or, it was too dark, or it was too, we didn't like what we saw. So it's actually a confirmation on if we can move on and proceed with our shooting schedule. Distro, we talked about the distribution of paperwork, and you're going to keep hearing that a lot. It's real, and it's the main responsibility of a PA is to deal with the distro. So you got to understand where's all this paperwork, because you're always going to be asked for it, for everything from a call sheet to, a crew list. Dolly. Well, a dolly is a rolling platform that you actually put a camera on. And then you have like dolly grips. And a grip is part of the grip department that actually pushes the dolly. And certain dollies, you can push them, they can move the camera up and down and what have you, but it's a rolling platform, Exhibit G. This is a job for a set PA, because the second AD is always going to ask you this. Everybody, I'm telling you, it's about paperwork. The Exhibit G is the document from SAG to say that this actor was on the set, he was on time, and there's a lot of forms, a lot of information on that Exhibit G, and what time they reported to the set, what time they actually got shot, when you released them, and what have you. And the actor has to sign off on that If not, they don't get paid because there's no way to document that. And then they're going to tell you, chase down this person because Denzel didn't sign Exhibit G. And we all got to make sure that Denzel got paid, you know. And then there's other information on there that I mentioned the other day, like if this actor, you know, we use their car or their, you know, or their clothes or something like that, then there's a box in there where you got to check and say this person brought in like 2 suits and what have you, and we use their car in the scene, and then the line producer will get with the accountant because then they know that there's additional monies than, you know, owed to this particular person. But it's another document and it's part of the paperwork in the distro for those people getting paid. Extras, you know, an extra is like a person in a particular scene that has a non-speaking role. You know, they're part of the background. I feel like a lot of productions is based on 3-light or 3-point, you know, lighting scheme. So you got a key light, you know, but that basically is the main light that's focused on somebody. You got a field light that kind of washes it out, you know, and fill in certain areas. If it was dark and if you got a key light this way, then you got a backlight to create separation and all from the background. So the field light is to kind of fill everything out, smooth it out. You got a key light, which is the main light for the ambience and what have you, and lighting that particular person. The first team, the first AD will then yell out, okay, Brent, I'm ready for the first team. So the second AD and the PA now got to go get that first team and get them in there. And the first team is the principals. You know, so what happens is a lot of times when we're like rehearsing and doing blocking, they don't want the main characters there. So we have stand-ins. So the stand-ins are in there doing the rehearsals so that the lighting people can get their lights, the camera people can get their measurements and what have you. And then when the director says, or the AD says, all right, I'm ready for the first team, you know, where are they? So that second AD along with that PA got to know, well, you know, Denzel's at craft services, the other one went and talked to his agent on the phone. So you got to have a sense of where these people are and what have you, because you don't want the set, now you got 200 people waiting on the first team and the set PA or the second AD doesn't even know where they are. They don't wander off somewhere, you know, sitting behind the tree or went off, got a smoke or something like that. So when they say, hey, I'm ready for the first team, you know you got to be ready to find these people or where they're at, or at least identify where they're at. A flag, you know, a flag is, you know, from the grip department, and it's basically used as a piece of diffusion and what have you to block off, you know, certain light or distractions. Sometimes they build flags to shield people. You know, I was asked for a particular flag. Where's all the flags? Then you looked over Video Village, they all over there because they done built a tent, you know, because the sun is shining on the monitor or the producers don't want nobody to see them and stuff like that. So they done built them a little shanty over there with all the different flags and stuff, you know. Gaffers tape. Now, everybody uses gaffer tape in every department. And if you're a set PA, that's probably, you got some gaffer tape probably hanging on your side. Because everybody uses it. They'll use it for marking, you know, holding up stuff and all that. It's just, you know, a strong piece of like duct tape. But the term of it is like gaffer's tape, and everybody will use it. The honey wagon is part of the transportation. You got a camera truck, you got a prop truck, you got a honey wagon. And the honey wagon is basically the bathrooms on location, you know. And then, you know, they refer to it as the honey wagon for the scent and smell of it, so you know. A Genny, and they say, okay, a Genny is just a short term for a generator. You know, the bigger the generator is, you know, makes a lot of noise and what have you. And then what they'll do is they'll tell a PA, we'll go stand out there by the Genny. So the Genny is a small operator just to use 1 or 2 lights and things like that, more so as a big generator. And then we talked about the key light. So these are just some terms that you'll hear like on a set, and people, you know, talk to them, and actually they'll expect you to know it, you know. So if somebody say, hey, I need like a quarter apple box, you know, then you don't go come back and say, you know, here's a C-stand. You know, it's an apple box. And you know, now you got to know where to get it. So then you look on the set, usually they'll bring someone on the set on the corner, but like I said, some people steal them because they're using for chairs and things like that. So you may have to tell the cameraman, hey, excuse me, I need this apple box, you know, because now we got to lift up this podium, you know, something like this. This may be in a shot like here, and then they say, hey, this podium is too low. I need it to be higher, you know. So then they'll tell you, go get 2 apple boxes, and then they'll set this podium on top of it. You know, those kind of things. Right?